We've all heard a ton about how powerful AI is, right? But what about its biggest and maybe weirdest pitfall? I'm not talking about little mistakes. I mean when an AI gets something completely wrong, but says it with absolute, unwavering confidence. Today, we're going to dive into the AI hallucination hazard. Okay, so let's set a scene. Picture a big law firm. They're using this cutting-edge generative AI to plow through thousands and thousands of pages of super dense legal documents. The whole point is to save a ridiculous amount of time by getting fast, accurate summaries. I mean, this is supposed to be a total game changer for them. But then there's a huge problem. The summaries the AI spits out, they're not just a little bit off, they're full of stuff that's just made up. The AI is inventing details, citing legal cases that don't exist, and even fabricating contract clauses out of thin air. In the legal world, where every single word counts, this is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. So what on earth is going on here? And that brings us to the big question. When an AI just makes things up, what's the most likely culprit? Is it something we call A, hallucinations? Or maybe B, nondeterminism? Could it be C, bias? Or is it D, a problem with interpretability? Let's figure this out together. To get to the bottom of this, we're going to have to play detective. We'll look at each one of these potential causes, see what they're all about, and use a little process of elimination to find out what's really making our AI go rogue. So our first suspect is nondeterminism. Now, that word sounds super technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It just means you can give an AI the exact same prompt twice, and you might get two different answers. It's often built in on purpose, to give the AI a little bit of creativity so it doesn't sound like a robot. And here is the absolute key. Nondeterminism creates variety, not fabrications. The AI might rephrase a summary in a cool new way, but it should not be inventing new facts. So, we can cross this one off the list. This isn't our guy. All right, next up, bias. This is a big one you hear a lot about. It happens when an AI learns from data that's already skewed or unfair. Garbage in, garbage out. The model picks up on those hidden biases in the data, and then, it repeats them, creating content that can be slanted or discriminatory. But again, we have to make that same crucial distinction. A biased model might twist the facts or present them in an unfair light, but it's still technically working with information it was given. It's distorting the truth, not making it up from whole cloth. So while bias is a massive problem in AI, it's not what's causing our model to invent fake legal cases. Bias is out. Okay, our third suspect is a lack of interpretability. You might have heard this called the black box problem. It's this idea that we can feed a bunch of information into a really complex AI, and we get an answer, but trying to figure out the exact logical steps it took to get there, that can be almost impossible. But think about it for a second. Just because we can't follow the AI's super complicated logic inside that so-called black box doesn't automatically mean its answer is made up. It could be totally right for reasons that are just too complex for us to see. So while this is a huge field of study in AI, it's not the direct cause of our fabrication problem. Let's roll this one out. So we've looked at nondeterminism, we've looked at bias, and we've checked off interpretability. Through our little process of elimination, we are left with only one logical conclusion. The reason our AI is so confidently making things up is because of hallucinations. So what in the world is an AI hallucination? Well, this definition really nails it. It's when a model generates something that looks and sounds completely believable, totally authoritative, but it's just factually wrong. It's not just a simple mistake. It's the confident creation of a complete falsehood. So where do these things even come from? Well, there are a few common causes. One is something called overfitting, which is basically when the model just memorizes its training data too well and can't think for itself when it sees something new. Or the training data itself could just be full of junk and inaccuracies. And sometimes the AI model is just so incredibly complex that while it's trying to find patterns, it ends up creating connections that just don't exist in the real world. Let's just focus on this one phrase for a second. Sounds convincing, but is factually incorrect. This right here is what makes hallucinations so incredibly dangerous. It's not like a typo that you can spot right away. It's a perfectly written, totally confident lie that can easily fool anyone who isn't an expert on that specific topic. And that brings us to what might be the most important point of all. Knowing the difference between a hallucination and, say, a bias issue is absolutely critical. Because if you misdiagnose the problem, you're never going to find the right solution. You can't fix a hallucination by trying to correct for bias. It just doesn't work. Figuring out the root cause is always the first most important step.
So this leaves us with one last thing to think about. As AI gets woven into really high-stakes jobs like law and medicine and engineering, this ability to just invent facts with total confidence presents a massive risk. It really forces us to ask ourselves, what is the real cost of just blindly trusting it? That is the challenge we're facing now. I hope this helped clear things up. Thanks for joining me.